Good evening and welcome to our first special assignment for the year 2014. My name is Ashraf Garda. Tonight we bring you the entire exclusive interview that our specialist producer Frank conducted with convicted drug mule Tessa Beetge from the Brazilian jail where she has been held since 2008. Beetge was found with 10 kilograms of cocaine in her luggage at the local airport after convicted drug dealer and former State Security Minister's wife Sheryl Cwele and her accomplice Frank Nabolisa recruited her to transport drugs. Cwele and Nabolisa were convicted in 2011. Well, after spending 5 of her 8-year jail term, she is about to be released on parole. In this interview, she talks about prison life, forgiveness, and her hope for the future.
You can't do the things that you want. Here it's a lot about discipline. It's about rules. You need to learn, obey the rules.
And what has happened to your life since we last spoke more than 4 years ago?
Recently I've had a traumatic time because of my mom passing, which has been a big thing because she was the one that was my everything.
What kind of work have you been doing in prison?
I'm working for it's a firm that they make medical equipment, the drips for the hospitals, the clinics. Those are the things that we make. But I was always working in the packing station where I was packing and preparing the boxes, and I've now moved onto the side where I'm doing the paperwork, all the paperwork that needs to be done for the firm. I do that.
So it's the whole administrative side.
Yes, something that I'm more settled and I'm a lot happier with.
Do you somehow think this has helped for your rehabilitation to keep you focused, keep your mind off the mundane routine of prison life?
Yes. With artwork, I mean, for me to stay in the cell for 3-4 days, having no time for leaving the building, it stresses a person more. You have more time of thinking, and you actually become more depressed because you have no release of going outside. You think too much because you are confined. You need to see outside. You need to see other people. You don't need to just continually see those people that are in your pavilion, in your building. You need to see other people and communicate with them, because if you don't communicate with them, you become frustrated with the people that are always there, because they're not moving, they're not leaving.
What are the challenges you face in your day-to-day life at PFC?
Challenges, you basically need to know discipline. There's rules. Don't be around people that are messing around with things, and stay on the side where you know that you're going to stay clean. Finish. There's many people that have come in as users, but they need to rehabilitate themselves, and that's the encouragement that where I come in. I try and encourage those people, and I say to them, you know, you don't need that life. That life is not good for you. Look where it's put you. I've never been a user. I've never been a person that's mixed in with people that deal with drugs and things. But I've seen that, I'd say about 80% of the people come in mixing with people or have been users. And they are at least rehabilitated somehow. And that to me it's something special for me, because then they've realized what the life that they were living and the life that they can live without it is happiness for me.
And what happens when somebody leaves? Is the experience like when somebody is now leaving? They've served their term, they've paid their debt to society, and now they're going home. What is it like for the inmates and for yourself?
Okay, for the inmates, it's a lot of excitement, but there's lots of tears. Because they are accustomed to the person, they're accustomed to those people that are there every day, their pillar, their support, their help, their guidance. But then they also sad because they know that that person will no longer be there. But they're happy for the person because the person is leaving, is regaining that freedom that everyone longs for. That's what they long for.
But by and large, I've interviewed many prisoners in other situations in other countries. I can see you've been treated well to a certain degree, you know, painted toenails, you got makeup.
I try and think about the consequences of the way that my mother brought me up. Always try and look responsible. Always try to look respectable. It boils down to morals. You should be presentable, no matter how you're feeling. Sometimes you could be feeling like you just want to burst out in tears. But when you want to burst out in tears, sometimes you need to withhold that. You need to withhold yourself, especially in front of people. It's the way that I am accustomed, the way I was raised. It's not easy because the pain and everything gets held in the heart.
Tessa Beetge had to leave her young children and mother behind. Her mother has since died. How did this affect her emotionally? Find out in a moment.
Would you say you've become more religious or more spiritual since you've landed at PFC?
No, same.
Have you always been?
I've always been spiritual. I've grown up in a spiritual home. My father used to be a Sunday school pastor, teacher. There was a time when we did not go to church, but I still insisted I wanted to go to church.
Is it Swanee?
Swanee, yes. I insisted. Then when things happened, when I came here, things happened between my mother and my father. My father went his way, my mother went her way, but it was a Christmas before I came here. It was in 2007. I kept on praying, God, I need my parents to go to church with me. The pastor said, if you look around and you see that there's a chair available on either side of you, pray for those seats to be taken for people that you want. And I was praying for my mother and my father to be in church. They were in church with me on Sunday, on Christmas. And that to me was a good blessing. It was a good blessing for me.
Your family upbringing, was it a happy home?
Yes.
Mari, Swanee,
Yes.
the three girls and so forth. Tell me a little bit about your family home.
My mom was always the strong one. My dad was always the leader. But they always had there was always happiness. My sisters and I'm the youngest, so I always felt like I was
Protected?
No, I was the one that was protecting them because I was much bigger. But when their friends were available, I was never really allowed. You know, you're too young. You don't need to know this. So I was like in my own little space. I was like a little black sheep. That's the way I felt, like a little black sheep.
When was the last time you spoke to your daughters?
before I came here.
They were little girls.
More than 5 years ago. I've written to them. My mom's been the one that's taken the letters, and I've given the letters to her. But for some reason, my mom did not want me directly to write to them, to the father. My consulate came and informed me that my mom was in a very critical situation, which was a very big shock to me, because her last letter, she was happy and excited, and she even wrote in the letter, "I can't wait for you to come home. Everything will be fine when you come home." Then, when I received the news, I was like, "Are you sure that you are talking about my mother?" Because her words are happy. Her words are motivating. There's new life in her. In the time, you know, that she's just been, she was losing weight, extreme weight, and she then wrote, "I've actually gained weight, and I'm now feeling again like a human." There was happiness with her. So there was no meaning of critical being in hospital. And that was the shock. The very next day, which was on the 11th, the consulate came again. And he said to me, he needs to tell me that my mother's passed away. And with all this, I'm shocked, because I want to know why. How? How could she have been healthy? She wrote me a letter, she wrote me an email, and...
She was preparing for your homecoming.
Exactly. What was she holding back from me, which we never kept secrets. We never kept secrets. So that to me was...
Was it devastating?
It was devastating. And the consulate came, he said to me, he said, "I'm sorry." He did comfort me. I said to him, I said, "Which way do I go now? Because now I'm lost, I'm feeling lost." Because my mother was my only direction. And I have to be her strength that she always used to be. And I have to replace that and make sure that I'm the one that has to be strong. I have to replace myself with her. That I have to do. Because for my children, for my family, my friends, everyone in SA, everyone that may ever come in a situation like this. And I want to speak about that. I need to speak about situations where people don't get involved in situations.
Educating people.
Yes. They need to be educated in, because sometimes people are manipulated in situations where they think, okay, it's normal, it's easy, but they don't realize the consequences behind it. They don't know what's going to happen afterwards. And that's the part where the people need to be educated. They need to have a wake up.
Coming up, can she find it in her heart to forgive? How does she hope to pick up the pieces in her life after her release?
before you came to Brazil, mom was there and your dad was there, and they said, it's fine, Tessa, you can travel. Do you somehow feel she always had this kind of regret that she okayed this trip?
I think I will never blame her. I will never blame her even if she had that feeling. I don't know because I haven't been able to get that conversation with her. But she knows. She knows that who said what they said betrayed us. Betrayed us. Not only me, my children, my family, my friends. That's taken more than 5 years away. It's taken more than 5 years away from us. It's been difficult to live without my family, but it's made me a stronger person, and I know when I do return, I'm going to be tender, but I'm going to be strong and firm with my family. This is what I've understood in the time that I've been away. And people mustn't point fingers. People mustn't blame each other. Accept it's been done. Okay? Move on. Deal with it. Forget about it. Forgiveness is one of the most important things because you need peace. And without forgiveness, you cannot have peace.
When you heard that Sheryl had been convicted and sentenced to a 12-year prison sentence, what went through your mind? What was your emotions?
Justice has been done, but it can never take away. It can never take away the time that I have been taken away from my family. Yes, if you are a person that is going to be criminally minded and continue in the way that you are, you need to learn. You need to learn discipline. And if that's what it needs, thinking corruption is going to, you can get away with corruption. You can get away with, because your husband is in a political position, it's not going to happen because there's one judge and he sees it.
So are you ready to forgive Sheryl Cwele?
Yes, yes. Me, I've already pardoned. I've already asked God before. Please, God, pardon her. Frank
Nabolisa?
Yes. Pardon him. But make them realize what they've done. What they've done was wrong. Don't allow them to do it to others. Help them to understand what they've done was wrong. She's inflicted pain, yes. But I cannot hold that against her for the rest of my life. How am I going to live? I need peace. I want to live with my family in peace. And I've lost my mother. I've lost my mother, which was my pillar. I cannot continue my life thinking I need to look behind me because of the threats that my family have been threatened before. I cannot live like that.
I asked Mari the very same question. Are you ready to forgive Sheryl Cwele? And she said, never in her life would she be able to forgive Sheryl.
Because when I did write to her. I said to her, Mom, you need to forgive her. You need to forgive her so that we can have peace. It's difficult, yes, because she's taken away 5 years, more than 5 years of my life with my family. Okay? It's difficult. But the thing is, if I cannot forgive her, how can I have peace? How can I live?
Understand you could be going home anytime soon. When do you expect to be leaving PFC?
I'm expecting to be leaving either this next year, February, March.
2014?
Yes. Okay, that should be my release time if I'm consistent in my work, which I've been since the time that I've been here. I've been consistent in my work. I don't like to falter, because one day longer in this place is just too much. So the sooner I know that I can be released, the better. But I'm still having faith in God that maybe before the time I might leave.
When you eventually go home, what are you going back home to?
I've still got my family. I've got my children. I've got my father. And I've got my friends. I've got my sisters, but they're living in a different country. But where I'm going, I'm not sure. And that's the part where it frightens me at the moment, because my heart is ripped up in different directions. My children live one place, my father lives in another place, my mother was living in a different place, my sisters are in a different country, my friends are all over. So where I am going when I leave, I'm not sure. But where I was going to go was directly home to Mom. Mom is no longer there, but I need to go home to Mom's home and deal with whatever circumstances.
So, what do you think of this story? Now, you can send your comments via email, Twitter or Facebook. And you can also send us stories you want investigated. Well, that's it for tonight. Join us again next week when we point out the issues that matter.